gathering. I'm Marcel Knobil, and I feel so privileged to stand amongst this illustrious group on stage and before you, a brave and amazing and wet audience. You and us together are here to express solidarity with the hostages, and we mourn all innocent lives lost in Israel and Gaza. At noon today, Jews and sympathizers throughout the world will be blowing shofars and whistles in a global chorus of unity with the hostages. From Sussex to Jerusalem, and from New York to the beaches of Thailand. If only we were there now. Just around the corner, a wedding will be interrupted by the groom blowing the shofar. On the football field, Maccabi League opposing teams will stand alongside each other before they kick chunks out of each other and blow whistles together. And congregations will be coming out of various churches and blowing whistles with us. The shofar is such a significant icon. It's said to symbolize a number of things. Some equate it with the sound of crying mothers, and how appropriate that is for today's event, especially being Mother's Day. It's also said to represent hope, and we are all both bursting with hope for the release of the hostages. And many of us equate its wailing sound as a wake-up call, waking us to address ourselves internally and stirring us to mend our ways. At noon today, more shofars will be blown in the UK and around the world than on any day in history. May it reawaken the world to the horrendous plight these innocent hostages have been facing for over 5 months. Many may not have seen daylight for all that time, will have been regularly assaulted and abused, denied medicine and deprived food. Recently, the rescued hostages, Louis and Fernando Momon, had lost half their body weight since they were taken. May the exceptional wail of the shofars wake up the United Nations. Wake up Gary Lineker. Wake up the Red Cross. I hope that when cities the world over, including here in London, echo to the sound of shofars, a singular and unambiguous message will be received loud and clear. It's time, well beyond time, to bring them home. Thank you. please welcome a magnificent and tireless advocate for the community. There's nothing like a dame, especially when it's Dame Maureen Lipman.
Thank you, Marcel. Every time I come to some kind of demo, I carry 3 pages of A3, and every time I don't look at it because I want to speak from my heart. Today, I'm a mother, I'm an actor, I'm an aunt, I'm a grandmother. And since October the 7th, I'm a hostage, like every other Jew in the world. A hostage who shares that pain, that fear that someone is coming, that childhood fear made real. And I want to urge you to write this on your doorposts and tell your children that we have to fight back. This is not a political day, but we have to fight back professionally, because the opposition, the marching fools, the campus twits who don't know which river or which sea they're talking about, are very well funded. They're very well funded by warlords living in hotels in Qatar, not even there with the people they're purporting to care about. So, I brought my own chauffeur to trumpet to everyone. We have to do this professionally. It's not enough. Jews are used to keeping their heads down. And so our demos are nothing as good as their demos. And we slurry along, going, bring them home, yeah, bring them home, yeah. And singing rather pathetically. And repeating the speeches because we haven't got together and said, what are you saying? Well, I won't say that. And we need to call out the BBC and Ken Loach and Chomsky. We need to call them out factually. We need to be sure of ourselves. And you need to answer that phone.
It's good to talk, Maureen.
Okay, so we need Arthur Miller. Sadly, we need Jack Rosenthal. We need Isaac Bishovic Singer to write us the good slogan so we know what we're doing and we know what we're saying, because we are speaking the truth. It's black and white and they're turning it into some other colour. So today I blow my trumpet for the safe return of civilians. They get very excited about civilians, but not about ours. And they don't get excited about Navalny being murdered by a brute who's already murdered thousands. They don't get excited about the Uyghurs in China or the Rohingyas in Burma or the Yemen or anywhere else. Just the Jewish state, the one Jewish state. So I say, I'm blowing my trumpet for us. To be better at what we do, we give and we give and we give, and this is what we get. We get taken. And don't let them tell you that this is propaganda photoshopped when they bounce with glee, when they rape our women. Don't let them tell you that's a hoax, like the Holocaust. We have proof. We have proof, sadly. And those people who have seen the 40-minute film will never, ever be the same again. That's what Stephen Fry said to me. So, are you insane? Shall we obey the rantings of George Galloway? From every side, liars encroach. Chomsky, Charlotte Church, Ken Loach, 2468. Are you ready for a caliphate? Queers for Palestine, take your place for an enforced walk in space. You want this vile theocracy? who loathes the word democracy? Fancy a drink, girls, or a shag? Tricky inside a big black bag. The facts of history are no error. Hamas rule is one of terror. Let Hamas in the fires of hell burn until our hostages they return. Until the infidels understand Israel is our promised land. I say, Hamako, Hamako, bring them home. Hamako, Hamako, bring them home. Thank you.
Thank you, Maureen. I'm delighted now to call upon a truly courageous friend of the community. Only recently his constituency office was firebombed, but he was determined to be with us today. Please give a warm welcome to Mike Freer MP.
Friends, I've rewritten what I wanted to say at least 3 times just standing on the stage. Following Maureen, it's very difficult to get the words because she's really summed it all up. There's a few things I did want to say. As a non-Jew, to the Jewish community, you have friends. You are not alone. When we see mob rule on the streets of London, remember there are friends in Parliament that are seeking to curtail that hysteria that we see. And as Maureen rightly called them out, and as a gay man, when I see Queers for Palestine, I say, on what planet? If you want to be a gay man in Gaza, I'll pay your airfare. Let's see how long you'll last marching for gay rights down in Gaza. Only one country in the Middle East recognises women's rights, Israel. Only one country recognises minority rights, Israel. Only one country recognises gay rights, and that's Israel. So when people say that we need to have a peaceful and sustainable ceasefire, yes, that's true, but not a one-sided ceasefire. If I can quote Golda Meir, I'll probably paraphrase it. If Hamas and Hezbollah and all the others laid down their arms, there would be peace. If Israel laid down their arms, there would be no Israel. Two final things. I'm tired of the one-sided weeping. When Boko Haram kidnapped hundreds of girls, the world was outraged. When Hamas kidnapped hundreds of Israelis, where was the outrage? We need to stand up and keep saying, bring them home. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcel. And now please give a warm welcome to a renowned social activist and CEO of the Five Foundation, ladies and gentlemen, Nimco Ali, OBE.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm always emotional when I come to these events because as a black woman in the international development space, Jewish women have always stood with us. So when October the 7th happened, it was no question that I was going to stand with Jewish women. But it took 5 months for my colleagues and my counterparts in the UN to acknowledge that rape actually happened on October the 7th. In taking 5 months, what we have done is undermine the work that we built over generations of a belief in all women. As a black woman, I understand racism, and there is no pernicious form of racism than anti-Semitism. And when I say that, I get pushback. But I'm going to continue saying that because, as Mike said, when Boko Haram took the girls, we said, bring our girls back. When Al-Shabaab attacked Muslim women in Somalia, we condemned them. When ISIS kidnapped and raped Yazidi women, there was global outcry. It is horrific that on International Women's Day yesterday, or this week, the silence was deafening from international women's organizations about the young women who are being raped, and being abused. Rape is not resistance. Rape is a crime against humanity. What happened October the 7th was a crime against humanity. So I just want to say, as a feminist and as a woman, we stand with you. And for those that condone Hamas, you are not doing justice to Palestinian women. Because if they can rape on a global stage the way that they did, what are they doing behind closed doors? So ultimately, Hamas needs to go, and there's nothing that can be said about that. So I just want to say I will continue to stand with Jewish women, and you can count on me, and we believe you, and your stories will never be forgotten. And I just want to say an incredible shout out to Jewish Women's Aid. I know you're having an incredible hard time in a very racist and toxic environment within the women's sector, but we stand with you, and I'll always stand with you.
Nimco, I know I speak on behalf of all of us here to say it's so reassuring that we have friends like you in fellow communities. We really appreciate you coming. Thank you. And finally, from our speakers, a true friend of the community, a precious friend of mine, TV and radio icon, Vanessa Feltz.
Very much. So this is my handbag, and I carry it absolutely everywhere. It's my best bag for Shabbos, for Yom Tov, for ordinary days. And on that bag, you can see 4 little children that I haven't rented from Central Casting. These are my grandbabies. Obviously, you can see the most beautiful and gorgeously gifted genius children in the world. Anyone can see that. I hope you can see them clearly. And you can see the oldest one is Ziki Yecheshkal Yonatan Zaev. This is Nerali. Guess what her Hebrew name is? Mazel Tov. That's her Hebrew name, named after her grandmother on the other side. This is Amiel, that's AJ, and this is Cecily, and she's named after my mother in Hebrew, Chava Shendel. And why am I holding this up to you? Because it's obviously Mother's Day, and it's Grandma's Day, and this is a day when, just like every other day, quite honestly, this is a day when we, the mothers, the grandmas, the aunties, are connected as if by the umbilical cord that joined us to our own beloved mothers, for the sustenance that gave us life itself, to all the other mothers and their children all over the world. And today, our hearts are joined to the hearts and the souls of the mothers of the hostages. Just imagine being them. It's unbearable to think about it, even for one day, isn't it? Imagine it. The mothers of the hostages who've been deprived of their precious children now for 155 days. And as we celebrate Mother's Day with our beloved children and our beloved grandchildren, these mothers are in agonizing torment. Imagine being there for even 1 hour or 1 minute or 1 day. Is completely unbearable to think about it. They are tortured, aren't they? By worry, by anguish, and by all-engulfing fear every day, all the time. And I'm thinking today, and that's why I'm reading this, because I want to get the names right. I don't want to get anything wrong here. I'm thinking today of Yael Alexander, mother of 19-year-old Edan. And I'm thinking of Anat Angres, the mother of 21-year-old Matan. And I'm thinking of Leona Agamani, originally from China, the mother of Noah. And you will remember, I'm quite sure they'll be etched on your heart as they are on hers, the last words she heard her daughter Noah say. Her last words were, "Don't kill me. No, no, no." That's her daughter. That's the last thing she heard her daughter say. I'm thinking of Cherie Bibas, a mother herself, who was taken clutching. Do you remember the pictures? These 2 red-headed little boys, 9-month-old Kafir and 4-year-old Ariel, to her chest. Her parents, Cherie's parents, were murdered by Hamas terrorists in their home at Kibbutz near Oz. And I think, too, of the words of Orit Meir, the mother of 21-year-old Almog Meir. When she saw a video of her boy held captive, she said, it was a moment that is indescribable, one you can't even imagine. It is like a knife is put in your stomach and you cannot breathe that instant, she said, my life stopped there. I am waiting every day for my son. Every day we love him and we miss him. Almog has dreams. He wants to travel. He wants to study. He wants to do lots of things. And his mother says, I believe all his dreams will come true. But first, we need him back. And that is why I'm here today. That is why we are all here today on Mother's Day, to trumpet loudly from our mouths, Baruch Hashem, to God's ears, this humanitarian, urgent message. Bring them home now. Bring them home now. Bring them home. Bring them home.